Join us for Vitamin Groove in the gallery. Welcome to another episode of the Vitamingroovepodcast. Today's guest is Vincent Bryant, a pianist that I've been knowing for quite a few years, and he's done quite a few remarkable things in his life. So, Vincent, how you doing today, man?
Doing great. It's a great place out here to be and just ground yourself and diffuse all your worries and all your somewhat negative, the things that pull on you,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I have to be in a peaceful environment.
Yeah, and I think we should all be in a peaceful environment, given today's current challenges, just to be peaceful with each other. I mean, this energy we're going through right now, we happen to be in the middle of a full moon, a super full moon, and an eclipse.
Yes.
So it's a matter of, we just came out of it, but it's still a matter of that energy. I'm actually hearing a super high frequency pitch in my ears, which I know it's about the 5,000. It's all resonant within the 528 hertz range.
Yeah.
So it's like super high pitch, and there's not much you can do about it. And no, it's not tinnitus. It is actually a frequency that's out there.
Yeah.
Yesterday I was meditating on the Schumann frequency, which is sub, and it's the Earth around 7.89 hertz.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that whole realm, and it just, that grounds you. And I'm glad I was doing it, because the energies were just so challenging. And
that plus put your feet on the bare ground.
Yeah, or that I do daily. Whenever I let the dog out, I wait. I have to get him to step off first.
Yeah.
If he doesn't step off, I'm like, what's your problem?
Yeah.
You know, so I'd step out there, and then he'd step down and kind of look at me. Then he'd go about his thing. But I try to do that on a regular.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand or believe. They think it's pseudoscience, but in all actuality, when you look at a circuit and you see the air, this is dielectric, so we have the air of the ground, and above the air we have the ether.
Yeah.
If you're into any kind of physics or basic electronics, will tell you, that the positive and the negative.
Right.
People don't understand when we see lightning strike, it's really happening the opposite way.
Yeah, it's from the ground
It's
up.
from the ground up.
Right, correct.
Okay, they don't understand that. But if you can be patient and flutter your eyes and blink, you will see the bolt, and as it connects. And that is a rare thing to see.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
First of all, you don't want to be so close to,
No, you don't.
see it.
I didn't say get close. You will have to be, you'll be a part of the ether.
You'll see it one time. So, Vincent, how did you start playing the piano?
Wow. Late, great Joe Bryant, my dad. He would practice his piano. First of all, he was a multi-instrumentalist. The guy could make music out of anything. We used to walk into the music store with him as children, me and my brothers, Chuck and Joey, bass and drums, and I was piano. But I'm the firstborn, so I was like, the piano was his thing. And in the afternoons, he would, watch me until my mother came home, and then he'd go to his night job as a dietitian at that time. And those afternoon piano playing sessions, I'm on his knee holding onto the piano, and he's rocking and jamming and playing, old South Carolina blues and jazz, and but more than that, gospel. I mean, he was an improvisation player. You know, he was along the lines of Bud Powell and those type of guys.
Yeah.
You know, Bud Powell comes to mind right off the rip. But any of those guys that had that kind of, you know, Fats Waller, that old, you know, it's that two-handed thing going, and it's like they got four hands going. You know, melody, chords, bass, and then the harmonies that you know would meld with it with rhythm. It was rhythm, syncopation.
Was he a professional? He played professionally?
He played professionally in his band, but he didn't play professionally on the big circuit.
Okay.
Which led us to understand how he actually got to know these people. He was a television repairman. He had his TV shop, but he worked at night. He always had something else going on.
Yeah.
You know, because that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to stereotype, but Jamaican bloodline. So, you know, it's one way or the other. You're going to work. You're not going to be, you're going to do something, you know, or several something.
You said Jamaican bloodline. So your parents were?
My father.
Your father was from
My
Jamaica?
mother's bloodline is South Carolina. My dad's bloodline is Georgia, South Carolina, but their father was from Jamaica.
Okay.
He was a merchant worker. You know, he worked the docks and whatnot, and that led him to be in the Savannah and Charleston areas. And you know, we're all the same people, indigenous, you know, people. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. My grandmother met, and I just imagine, you know, I'm getting the history down from my Uncle Reuben, my dad's brother. My dad passed away in 2010.
Oh, may he rest in peace.
Thank you. And my Uncle Reuben, I don't try to bug him. I try to get little tidbits so I can just kind of piece together the missing little areas of what I think make me up, you know. But like I was saying, the piano in the afternoons, and I loved it. I'm a toddler, 2 years old, 3 years old, you know, and I showed interest then. So when he'd get up, he'd kind of stack up the stuff to the piano and then watch me for a few minutes, you know, and my mother would come through the door. So that's how I got started, in a little one room in the Bronx, not far from Bruckner Boulevard, you know, and that's it.
So as the years went on, did you take music lessons through school? And
lessons from him, went to school, music appreciation. We moved from the Bronx to Queens, Springfield Gardens, right in back of Springfield High, 143rd Avenue. Farmers Boulevard, about 10 blocks this way. Springfield Boulevard, 1 block on the other side of the school. So we were in a wealth of, St. Albans was next door, and all the big, well-to-do musicians. My dad was a TV repairman to a lot of these celebrities. Okay, Brooke Benton was one of his great friends. James Brown, Maceo Parker, not so much, but on the hangouts, you know, with all the groups that would show up and do these municipal things, you know, like Linden Park was like the place where everybody gathered, a lot like Mosley Park in Atlanta, where everybody gathered and did things, you know. But to make a long story short, he was the TV repairman to the celebrities, and they got to know him, and they knew he was a musician, and he had his band, and he would get these gigs at certain nightclubs, and he would get these gigs to open up for them. So that's how we got to know a lot of them. Brooke Benton's son, Brooke and Mary Benton, had a son named Roy Benton, and he was our first bass player in our band when we were kids. And we did one talent shows and did all kinds of stuff like that. Opened up for the Jackson 5.
Was that through high school or middle school?
No, this is elementary school.
You were in a band
in elementary school. I was in a band. We were the little Bryant brothers, and it was just weird. It was, to us, it wasn't. We were just having fun.
Yeah.
But all these adults would do this staring thing.
Yeah.
And my little brothers didn't like staring. My
Mhm.
father, that's okay, Joey, just go, you just play.
Yeah.
They're staring at me.
Yeah.
Just play, you know?
Yes.
And that experience, we had all the equipment in the basement.
Mhm.
I've got Super 8 home movies and
Yes.
stuff.
Yes.
And we had the recorders, we had the keyboards, I had everything. I had a spinning piano, an electric piano. From 9 to 11, I had classical training.
Mhm.
And at 11, I was struck with scarlet fever and acute nephritis,
Mhm.
okay, which was a debilitating kidney disorder.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what trouble I was in. I just, my mother was an RN. She was one of the first African-American
Yeah.
RNs, ICU head
Yeah.
nurses at
Mhm.
Jamaica Hospital. And I had no idea what
Mhm.
trouble I was in. I was in the hospital for 9 weeks, and it was pretty
Mhm.
deep, and it was
Mhm.
constant penicillin injections and
Yeah.
the change of the diet, and you can't exert energy, and you can't do this, and you can only drink just enough water
Yeah.
because we got to watch your kidneys. I had no idea,
Yeah.
what was going on. But when I came home, I was quarantined from the entire 5th grade experience, just about, and I think about that time. I tell you, I didn't know what trouble I was in,
Mhm.
but I think about that time, and I remember how much attention they paid to me and how silent they were. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And now I know how afraid they were.
Yes.
They must have been terribly afraid.
You
But
can only
me,
imagine.
yeah, and that's all I can do. Right? That's all I can do is imagine. Thinking back, I remember every expression, pretty much every word. My
Mhm.
brothers whispering,
Mhm.
and my brother Chuck was phenomenal. Kept me
Mhm.
laughing all the time. We were always working on music. When they would come home, my father was different with them. He was loud. He was, and with me, he was soft. And I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Okay, I got to stay home. So I just asked, I said, am I going to die? My mother stopped what she was doing. She said, we're all going to die one day.
Right.
Right now, we want
Yes.
you to get well. You're not well enough to go to school. So here I am in the basement with the Norelco reel-to-reel, with the RCA combination,
Yes.
speakers on one end in the cabinet,
Yeah.
a record player down in the middle, the radio, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, and my father's record collection.
Yes.
A Fender Rhodes piano, okay? He gave me this piano, and it just hit me. This man gave me this piano. Okay? All right? It just hit me. That's that. This is yours. This is yours, Vincent. But he would borrow it for his gigs on the weekends,
Yes.
So I had that, a Farfisa organ. We hooked up a Leslie to it at the time.
Mhm.
My brother's drum set, my brother's bass amp, his bass, and percussion equipment, and I just had and microphones, and just had free for all.
Yeah.
Six.
You're in Kids Wonderland.
It was my video game.
Yeah.
But my dad had his TVs he was repairing, and I would get a TV and watch. He'd be like, turn the sound down and play music to the piano.
Mhm.
Pretend you doing the music. You heard that music. You heard it over and over. He didn't like the sound of TV unless he was working on it. My dad didn't like TV. My mother didn't like TV too much.
Yes.
We watched TV as a family on Sunday evenings. Ed Sullivan Show, Ted Mack Amateur Hour, Hee Haw, those things. That's what we watched.
Yes.
But anyway, getting back to it, it's like 6 hours a day.
Mhm.
And so it's like you go from that to game shows and whatnot, and after a while it was just second and third nature.
Yes.
I had a tutor from the Board of Education, the New York Board of Education.
Mhm.
She would show up with her little briefcase in her classes, and she was like this little short little woman. I'm trying to remember her name, And my dad would like oversee everything, make sure that I had everything, and make sure that I wasn't, make sure that I was focused.
Yeah.
You know, and not feeling like I was at home and I could just be la-di-da.
Right.
It's time for you to learn now.
Right. That's
Okay?
right.
And that went over sometimes very well, sometimes like a lead balloon, because I'd be like, because I learned how to use it. I could do this. Okay, I'm tired now. Okay, he's tired. She would go, okay, he's tired. We can't push him beyond, you know, because she knew I had medical issues.
Yes.
But as soon as she leave, I'm running out there to play.
Right.
My father's like, no, you tired. You know, I remember this now. This is all coming back to me. You tired. You can't go down there and do that.
Right.
I go like, well, no, you don't want to do that work. So it came down to I had to do the work before I could go down. And so that was the new incentive.
Yeah.
So I had all this music piling up and all these things I wanted to experiment with. So that led to something else. And that, I think that was my first real lesson in media making, you know, and making music, sound design, and, you know, that whole idea.
So when was the first time that you realized you could do this for a living?
Wow. I had a taste of it when Al Hornstein had a studio in Hilton Head, and I was kind of his manager, go-to, if not a partner. I acted like I was a partner. And I would recruit people to come to the studio, and on the weekends, Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, across from Savannah, SCAD was over there. These students would come to Hilton Head to party and hang out, drink, drunk, pass out, or whatever. And I meet a lot of these kids on their senior theses, and they would talk, and I'd say, well, I got a studio. Really? You think you can do the music or the sound effects? And so I would experiment doing that. And then later I had an E-machine and would do it at home. We had a Macintosh Quadra, a 950. It wasn't even quite a 1.
Yeah.
We had the Mac 1, the 2, the 3, the G3. Well, this is before that. And you had to wait hours before something rendered.
Right.
Okay, never mind. I don't want to even go there. It hurts my brain. So I would do that, and it got to build up to be a few kids, you know, like 8, 9, 10, and then a dozen. And the professors was like, all of you guys, this sounds good. Who's this V guy? This guy on the internet, who is this guy? So they extended a little invitation. We got open house at the school at SCAD. So come on down to the film and television department and hang out with everybody. We're going to have, you know, donuts and coffee and lunches while I'm there. You know? Anyway, so I went and I met, and this one professor said, you know, you should go after this. You can really do this because you're doing as well as anybody else that's out there. You just need to be in the fray of it. You know, because there is a little more to it than, you know, I mean, you've made your own niche just hanging over there and doing this. But you could really be doing it. So I kept my mind on that, and it took about 10 years before I actually got to get that, you know, in my head in such a way.
Was it you accepting it, or was it you just preparing yourself to actually?
It was both. It was both.
Yes.
I had a taste of it in 1984, before I was on Hilton Head with that studio. I was in the Curtis Mayfield band. I played piano in his band in the '84 World Tour. And he worked on I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, and I hung out like an intern. I learned, and Curtis did not mind. He was like a second father. He was like, come on down, dude. Hey, you know, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and you're going to meet people. And I know I ain't got to worry about you, Vince, but some of y'all others, this ain't no party. This is work, you know. So, and that's how I met Carlos Glover, Marzette, and Alvin Spites even. I didn't really hang out with Alvin Spites at the time. He was learning, and he was engineering with Marzette. But I knew Marzette from Curtis and other people, those in that circle. And let me cut to the chase. It's like I saw what he was doing. He was a songwriter. He wrote great songs for many films, you know. But he would work with the composer for the film, and they would take the elements out of his songs and they would run what we know now as modal scales to give the emotion of the scene. Well, I didn't really make that connection until recently studying modal scales. But to answer the story, the real impetus that made me feel like I could do this was then listening to those professors. How? I didn't know. Even when I was with Curtis, I didn't know how I would get into it. I didn't even know it was a serious thing. Then, late 90s.
So that basically put you on the path to writing scores?
It put me on the...
Or being more interested in writing scores?
It put me on the path to composing. And then the path to which compositions go with which scenes. I had to come back and make the connection. I have the gift or the curse. It's always the blessing and the curse go together. In Judaism, I studied a little Judaism and mysticism, Kabbalah and whatnot. And the blessing and the curse go together. You just have to be comfortable. It's not. It's like a compliment and an insult. You give little energy to both, because one, your ego gets inflated. The other, your ego gets too deflated, and then you get depressed. I'm not trying to be any of it.
Well, it's a delicate balance.
It's a delicate balance.
That comes with most art forms. Because you have to see both sides to even create, or even be relevant and create.
To be relevant and create.
Right.
You're asking me these questions, but you gave me the answer a long time ago, playing in a band with you.
How so?
We were talking about the ego. And I think you said you were along the lines of I think if you work your ego out through your craft, through your art, then you don't have to worry about it. I went, the minute you said that, it clicked so hard because I said, that's what it is about me. Because I'm not, and I'm not judging anybody. I'm not the flashy dresser. I could, but that's not my thing. I'm not the, you know what I mean? There are other things that, we can throw our egos into, and whatnot. But when I sat down and played, I let it all hang out. And I was like, no matter what style of music I was playing, I was deeply embedded in it. And I let it be me. Because it's not me, I let it come through me. So I'm like, and that's what I practice now, this whole, I'm pulling it. I don't know where I'm pulling it from. We like to say God. We like to say something. That's great. I'm sure, if you want to believe in that sense, not saying I don't, and I'm not saying someone should, but if you do, great, whatever. But it's coming from somewhere, and it is coming through. So I kind of I sat here and was playing this little thing. It was totally based on the atmosphere. And it's the blessing and the curse I was going to say was, I have synesthesia. And what happens to me is, it's what I smell, it's what I see. It's more what I see. It's what I hear that's non-musical by musical sense. Okay? Like those frequencies that I'm hearing, you can't, it's something in here in my soul translates them into music. And I just read 2 days ago, Quincy Jones, he has the same thing, synesthesia. Certain things hit me certain times of my life, and all the music that came out of me at that era was all related to that, and I didn't know this. Now I'm doing this purposeful thing by taking the image a filmmaker makes, the vision a director has, and the blueprint, to tell a story, and I'm translating that using the modes of music. I'm trying to be less clinical and just go back to spirit and just let it hit me and come through. And I would say to some directors, and I've heard Hans Zimmer say this, just give it to me. He doesn't really mean it that in that sense of ego. I'm so great, just give it to me. What he means is let me see it. Let me see it. Let me see it. I want to see it. Until I see it, you can tell me everything you want. That's great. And sometimes I had to, like the directors I'm working with now, it's a matter of they're auteurs and they're so proud of their work and they have no understanding the essence of what really the DNA of what it is they're doing. They just have their cameras, their image, their actors, their lights, and then after that's done, say your lines and we're good, and the music is just something that we'll decide if we want or not.
Almost happenstance.
Come on, man. So I'm like, I want to see it. So I see the scene. I get the scene into me. I hear the dialogue. I look at even the image from the actor, the character and the interaction with the opposite character, the tertiary, the third character, and if not a crowd. I look at the whole thing, the foreground, everything. And I just let it keep rolling and rolling around in my head until I come out with it. And it's grateful if I have a melody to start out with, which is usually the theme song or the theme. If I have that melody, then I'm going to let the modes of music work it out. I'm going to go to the clinical, sterile, scientific thing. But if I don't feel it, if I can't translate it, it's not, it becomes a work. The conflict comes from trying to get too much the director wants.
Was the piano the first or only instrument you wanted to play?
It was the first. It was the only for the longest. My father said, "You're not going to go anywhere if you don't. You got to grab you," because we were arguing. We were little boys arguing. He's playing my drums, joking. He's playing my drums. No, Chucky. He's playing my drums. He's playing my bass. Well, I would never argue because I'm like, go ahead, play the piano. You don't play better than me anyway. That was me as a kid. So I was like, and piano is all I cared about. But they wanted to play the piano, and I understand why. So I played the bass. I played the drums. I had more interest in the piano, but I played the guitar and found I could do things with it. Beginning to the back. But Samuel Gill Sr. was my music professor. I was at Savannah State majoring in electrical engineering. I was going to come out and design and work for Lockheed and all these, But something happened along the way, and music was now electronic music. And I would build these synthesizers, man. I couldn't wait to get back in my dad's shop. I grew up working in this TV shop at 14, so I couldn't wait on the weekends to leave Savannah, come back to Beaufort, South Carolina, and work in the shop. I'm working in the shop this weekend. Why are you so gung-ho to work this Saturday? Most kids want to get out and party, and I'm in there
practicing what you learned.
What I'm learning and trying to take advantage of it. My dad was like, "That boy almost burned my shop down." I had B+ power going to a speaker to an Altec Lansing. It set the cone on fire, poof, and its flame shot up. And it was like, he was like, "Boy, what you?" It was like, okay. So he had to watch me. But then he saw what I was doing. It was interesting, So I had a couple of incidents like that.
So moving to present time, what are you working on now?
I'm scoring. It's crazy. As soon as I get 2.5 years ago, I was able to, to have enough funds to put together my rig, my Mac, my software, my controller keyboard, my outboard speakers, everything. And I started the learning curve on getting the best out of the digital audio workstation and samples and building a sample library and knowing how to manipulate it. So then I got brave enough to start calling on these independent filmmakers. And I started doing shorts, and I started being involved. One of the biggest jumps was 10 years ago, I worked with Hakeem Robinson and Regina Nicole on Family on Edge as their sound man. So I got it as a sound man. But to bring it back to your question, it was like, it got me now to be set up 3 years ago to go full-fledged scoring. And with my partner, we have Reigning Phoenix is a film company we started last year. Tracy Goebel and did I say that? Tracy Goebel? Tracy Goebel and gotta make sure. And she has a nonprofit called Shine. This is a teacher, okay? She is phenomenal. and the way she deals with students, you hear me talking, but I needed to talk about my school teachers.
Yeah.
I've been in love with teachers all my life.
Yeah.
And I didn't know when I was around her. I mean, I must have, my higher self knew.
Yeah.
This is a teacher.
Yeah.
And to see how she deals with children and to have this great music and media program for children was a phenomenal idea.
Yeah. So where could we find her if we were looking for her?
The fast track is 10,000 hours of music.
Okay.
It's 10,000 hours musicandfilm.com.
10,000 hours musicandfilm.com. Okay.
And if you if you Google search that, you're going to get quite a bit.
Okay.
You can go straight to the website.
Okay.
Shine. I'm not sure where I could find information on Shine right away. Same area. Okay, you take your time and look. I'm going to tell the story.
Yes.
But she has managed R&B writers and producers, electronic dance music producers, writers, and young rappers and hip hop up and down.
Okay.
And we met. And the original thing was to form this music cataloging group to help these guys.
Yeah.
Didn't pan out that way right away.
Yes.
It panned out more into getting involved in media, the full things that go with media.
Yes.
Camera people, lighting, gaffers, and the whole and costume design and whatnot, hair and makeup and all that. Yeah. And the music, the sound design, and that was my department. So this is what's happening now.
Yeah.
Phoenix, Reigning Phoenix is, it's going to be a full service company. Okay. But as it is right now, she's a phenomenal writer.
Okay.
Script supervisor, of course, as well. Okay. And a producer. Okay. So now with me on the music end, her on the visuals and me on the sonic, it's like this. It's like a serious mating of, the two halves to make it.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
We think so.
No, it is because it's, at this point it's about if you both put in 1,000% effort.
And we are.
You notice I didn't say 100%.
No,
because percentages go up like numbers.
That's right.
So
it's exponential.
Exactly.
That's right.
You both put in the equal energy. It has no opportunity but to become successful.
And we're getting ready. We're gearing up to do 10,000% each.
That's great.
Because now that I'm getting more and more recognized by certain directors who have a vision to go a little bit beyond just making a movie to show their friends and family and whatnot. Going into festivals is a big thing. Yeah. Going into festivals is the precursor to the big game, the field. Yeah. So you have to have your sound right. You have to have the music tight. Yeah. You can't step on the dialogue. Yeah. Dialogue is chief. You have to have the mixes right. Yes. And you have to have the dialogue at times has to be replaced in what we call ADR, automatic dialogue replacement, or automated dialogue replacement. So that's tight. So therefore, the image and the sound go together and they present a nice piece of entertainment.
Yes. So if somebody was looking for your music, where would they find you?
I'm pretty easy to find. You can actually find more of me by Googling just V Levy. That's the name I go by, VLEEV. And I'm at VLEEV.net. Okay. And you can also find links that'll take you back to works I've done with other with filmmakers, as well as with Reigning Phoenix. Yes. And the other way to find me is on my SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Vincent Levy Levy Bryant Bryant. Yeah. But if you do the simple Google of VLEEV, you're gonna get 50 pages. That's not an exaggeration. Yes. This my daughters. My daughters, Yavina and Sarah, in 2007, I had a MySpace. Okay. And my daughter Sarah did a few things for me. Okay. And to help me out because I didn't really understand. And I was sitting there, my daughter, my older daughter, Yavina, her older sister, comes and sees me on the computer ordering business cards.
Mm.
And she's a tree hugger. So
Yeah.
I got a lecture.
Yes.
Her short version. Do you know how many animals and insects you're putting out of a home by ordering those cards?
Right.
Oh, she was serious. I didn't laugh.
Yeah.
I said, no. She said, no, Daddy, move out the way. And she put in the VLEEV.
Mm.
And she said, and 8 pages popped up. I got scared.
Mm.
I literally scared.
Mm.
I literally was like, how did that get up there? And then, you go to conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
I said, who is watching me? Who knows?
Yeah.
And she goes, Daddy, if every time you said something in an article that's on the internet, there you are. Every time you did blah, 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 you were selling yourself. You don't need to give a business card. Tell them Google me. She didn't mean to be Google me. You don't, there's a way to say it and there's a way to tell people.
Yes.
So if I got in a crowd and they allowed me to speak, I'd tell them right away to Google me. And you'd be surprised how many smartphones come out and they Google me and they're like, whoa.
Yeah.
I've had people even tell me, my God, you're not a millionaire? It's like, I get it.
That's always
why don't you have any money?
Subjective when it comes to finances versus art form.
Why don't you drive a Rolls Royce?
Yes.
Anyway, so that led to, further involvement in social media.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been a lesson coming up, and I watched my kids. They had a lot to teach me.
Yes.
And they just did,
Yes.
So that also allows me to reach out to a lot of filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
It also allows me to do something I've been doing, mentoring and tutoring. Okay?
Yes.
And it's easy. The pandemic struck. I had 9 directors lined up, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Going from 2019, December in, I was so full of myself, ready to go.
Yes.
I was like, January comes, I'm getting started with the first one, the second one, the third one, the wheels start grinding. February, March, shutdown.
Yes. That wiped a lot of fellow musicians and artists off the table.
Man, did it.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't stop working on it. I turned in my focus. I said, well, I need to increase my catalog. And since I'm on a roll with these modal tone, emotional deliveries of music, I started getting into it.
Yes.
So I started off with, since I was so angry, I started off with horror.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I let all the horror come through.
Yeah. So when you do that type of, that's a little bit different composition than a R&B song or a jazz song.
Oh yes.
What's the difference?
There's no jazz in horror, man.
Yeah.
There's no happy in horror.
Yes.
We want you scared.
Yes.
Eat this fear.
Yes.
Feel it.
So it's more sound, intensified sound and emotions. And
it's a particular type of intensified, dissonant,
yes,
chaotic,
yes,
end of life,
yes,
fear, all tremble.
Right.
Grate on your nerves.
Yes.
You are now a meat puppet.
Yes.
It's that way.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to imagine any images. I just let the music come through me. I just let the darkness come through me.
Yes.
Like I said, I'm not for or against either. They both have to exist. In this world, they have to have them both.
Yes.
You can, of course, everybody wants peace, but the peace is that medium in between the two, and that's what stillness and peace is.
Yes.
Several people who are a lot smarter than me said, it's time that you taste that.
Yeah.
They didn't even know what I was going through. And I think they were feeling the COVID in their way, and they had to tell me. I've had some very serious spiritual leaders tell me, yeah, you need to do that. And you're surrounded with all that goodness.
Well, that's the beauty. Yeah, that's your angel.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the arts.
It's like,
because if you use the arts properly,
yes,
you can actually get rid of those latent feelings in you and either put it in canvas and dance and music and acting and poetry.
Yep.
You know, pick your art form. But that's, to me, that's what it's always been for me.
For any of us artists.
Yes.
And I didn't know that, Chad.
Yes.
I didn't know that. And you know, there's certain, okay, my favorite impressionist artists, people like, oh God, Claude Monet. I love Monet, you know. Any of that stuff that doesn't say a racial gender or anything. Yes. It speaks of subtle impressionist art, you know.
Yes.
That I'm good for. I'm good for everything, you know. Yeah. But that stuff I love. And Monet, Gauguin. Now, when you get to Van Gogh, then you start, there's something else going on there.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Then you get to Dali, there's something else going on there.
Oh, yeah, definitely with Salvador Dali.
Oh, Dali, Salvador. So now... So now, with my music, to think about my music on those terms, at that time going through the horror thing, and I went through it for about 3 months. It was 90 days of real horror. Yeah. I had the nightmares and everything. Yeah. But I would channel them. I'd wake up out the nightmare and go straight to the keyboard because I had it set up in the bedroom right near us. Yeah. And this poor woman, she had to sleep. Oh wait, the dog. We have a Shih Tzu. It's her dog, but you know, I borrow him every now and then.
Yes.
This dog is a studio dog. Loves music.
Okay.
But the horror, this dog would be like, he'd just run to the bathroom, run back, and he'd look at me, and he'd run, and then come. I said, come here. And he'd go next to my leg, and I could feel him right next to me. He's up on my leg like this. And he's like, I would say, I've only got 1 more minute of this, I promise you. And he'd be like, okay, I'm going to hang out right here until that minute is up. Yeah. And as soon as I'm done, then I say, that's it, that's enough. And pet him and hold him and then let him go. Relax. Let him go and let him relax and let that music go. But the music would change, well, all of my music would change the atmosphere of the entire house. Yes. I could sense which chords I was playing, and it was driving other people crazy. She's at school with her students. She wasn't seeing this a lot. But I'd play the stuff for her when she would come home. And she'd be like, that's really nice. I don't need to hear that again. Huh? I don't need to hear that. She's straight up. I don't need to hear that again. Let's not play that again.
That means it was successful.
Totally.
Years ago, a guy told me, when you create something, there's 2 ways you can tell if it's successful. If people criticize it, or if they don't say anything about it.
Wow.
If they don't say anything about it, you didn't achieve what you were trying to achieve. It didn't provoke an emotion. It didn't evoke any conversation. Because most music is a conversation piece.
Wow.
So if it causes negative or positive conversation, that's great. If it causes no conversation, you didn't achieve what you were setting out to do.
Wow. Well, I've achieved what I was setting out to do on many of these pieces.
Yes.
And they're all on my SoundCloud. I have 94 works on my SoundCloud now. The goal is to have 108 pieces by the 4th of July, midnight, the 4th of July. And I'm
Well, welcome back to the Vitamingroovepodcast in the gallery. Today's guest is Vincent Bryant, V. Levy. a wonderful pianist, keyboardist, composer, and just all around good guy.
Thank you.
Vincent.
You're too kind.
Well, I've been knowing you for a while, so I know this to be true.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm going, from my experience, that's how I feel of you.
Thank you.
Why don't
I
you?
appreciate it.
Oh, anytime, man. Play a little more for us.
I'm just. All right. What do I play? That's just running through some changes.
Yeah. No, that was beautiful, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I've always
No
liked.
sustain pedals. So I'm trying to.
No, but you're doing great with what you were doing.
Thank you.
I've always been a fan of your playing, whether I
Thank
told you or not.
Well, we've been in a few different bands and settings together, and we've always gelled nicely.
Yeah.
So, and you shared that that you like us in the band together. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I know it works. And,
Yeah.
and it's mutual, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't, playing music together is something I learned from my brothers.
Mm-hmm.
You're no better than the other guy, and collectively,
Right.
you can't be what it is if you don't have and share
Yeah.
that the stage, the
Yeah.
song, the
Yeah.
content, the feeling, the emotion, because
Correct.
it's shared by people
That's
who
right.
aren't musicians,
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, the audience is the end result of good behavior.
That's it.
Yeah.
Good behavior.
Right.
It's like you said, we don't elicit some sort of a response out of them, we haven't done our job.
Right. Right. We failed ourselves and failed the audience.
That's
especially
right.
a paying audience.
Oh, man.
The people want to come to feel whatever we're representing and presenting to them.
Absolutely.
And if we come with our egos on the stage, we fail terribly. So the only way you can truly mesh and vibrate is to let that ego go. I mean, ego is important to a degree.
Right, survival.
Right, but not when it's overdone.
No.
But as long as everything is mellow and we all hear each other, at a certain point, the music takes over and the body leaves.
The body's done. It comes through you.
Correct.
You're a conduit.
Correct.
A wise man once said, you let your ego come out through your art and your instrument, then that's where it's at. And I was like, I didn't have to adjust much because I was already doing it.
No.
I never knew there was a definition to it. I didn't know there was this axiom, but now I know.
Yeah.
Now that I know, I could really focus.
Yeah.
You're driving a car on a hard top. You're not on a dirt road.
Right.
You're not
right.
in a jungle buggy.
Right. Right. It makes a difference.
Makes a big difference.
Right.
Right. And Jack climbed the beanstalk. You know what I mean?
Right. Man, it's been a pleasure.
Mother. You know.
Right. Well, Norman Bates.
Yes. Bernard Herrmann was the composer for Psycho. Bernard Herrmann was Hitchcock's go-to guy.
Yes.
That was my first lesson in horror. Was that
Mm.
how did they get those strings right? Well, Vince, it is a chromatic. It's a third, and all those notes in there. You know the strings doing that.
Right.
And it's like the slashing.
Right,
know,
but it causes your body to
you go
do
into
something.
convulsions, man.
Yeah.
Like spiritual.
Man.
You feel like you're getting stuck with the knife.
Right.
But that's what Hitchcock wanted. He was a master at that, but he knew that it was sound. All your great award-winning Oscars, Emmys, all your great award-winning filmmakers and storytellers in visual media utilize sound. They utilize sound in such a way where if they didn't, they would not be who they are.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you that.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
George Lucas' famous quote, no, Steven Spielberg's famous quote, music and sound is 50% of your picture.
Yes.
Think of that now, of the picture.
Yes.
You see, but you're not hearing.
Right.
Okay. Try to go through life without hearing. Ask deaf people. Yeah. They know. They found a way around it, but where does that go?
Right.
How
because
far?
That's almost 80 to 90% of your instinct comes through sight and sound.
That's it. Take the sound out of a horror film, it becomes so less scary.
Yeah.
It's so less scary.
Yeah, it's almost like senseless violence at that point.
That's right. It's gratuitous crackety crap.
Yeah.
That's what I call it. But you give that dun, 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 it's just,
Right. So
imagine Jaws without.
It's the build up, the anticipation, and then
the anticipation, then the striking.
Yes. So with a younger musician, if they wanted to try to get into that arena in the music field, what would you suggest?
Study. I would suggest you study. There are great schools for study, but there's also some great schools that are losing ground, and they're losing ground because a lot of what's happening now, the genres are changing.
Yeah.
The audiences are, of course, changing.
Yeah.
And you can't be taught all of this. You can be taught the science of it, but the art of it is evolving constantly.
Yes.
So for some people, school is going to be just great. For other people, internship with a great person or a person who's already made their mark is great. For other people, for a whole nother set, which is where I think I fall in between there somewhere, because I went to school but didn't study it in school. I had a mentor, and mentorship is really where it's at for me. Experimentation on your own takes it a whole nother step.
Right. So that's really spending time with your given instrument.
That's right.
What is it? 20,000 hours.
10,000.
10,000 hours.
I got that from a very wise person.
Mm-hmm.
She made her whole thing on 10,000 hours.
Yes.
It's 10,000 hours to reach perfection.
Yeah.
Or to master something, I believe,
correct.
Right? Yes. So, and let me tell you, that right there was enough of the right map, the right road, the sign in the road saying, you're going down the right road now.
Right.
You know?
That gives you enough time to explore, learn, gather the dexterity, gather the imagination. 10,000 hours, it seems like a lot, but it's not a lot of hours. It's just putting that time in.
It's not, man.
Yes.
It's exponential.
Yes.
If we could stop thinking in terms of how long something takes or how long something is, because, the amount of measurement between desire and receiving the desire, I should say desire and then receiving the desire, that's where we start to measure time and distance.
Yes.
And that's the only time those things come into place.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Well, I want to be on this side of the sun. Well, give it 2.5 months we will be. You know, so now you can do that.
Right.
So if you can pull yourself out of the equation of time and distance,
Right.
then you're going to start seeing some.
Right.
You're going to start attracting some
Right.
situations that are going to galvanize and exponentially create. 10 becomes 100, becomes 1,000, becomes 10,000.
Right.
So, you know,
right.
10 hours.
And passion takes away time in itself.
Passion, don't care nothing about time.
That's right. That's right.
Passion is, why aren't you? Why can't you? Why haven't you?
Right. And
Why
when
not?
and when will you?
And when will you?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You can start now and actually be doing this.
Right.
You know?
So in essence, it's about self-discipline.
Oh man.
Which gathers your self-awareness.
People are afraid of self-discipline.
I know that.
People are afraid of self-discipline. That's the difference. My mother used to say, you don't want to work for somebody, you're going to work for yourself, or you're going to work for the hardest boss you've ever had in your life.
Right.
Okay?
That's right. That's a fact.
You are going to work for the most demanding, most perfectionist, didactic, load-bearing, load-issuing boss you've ever had in your life. And I used to be like, huh. With my brother Chuck, talented guitarist, songwriter, got fired from his job a year ago, May, and he told me just yesterday, he said, Vince, at first I was scared. It just went straight into this. I started realizing he busks. He's in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
He busks. He plays in the street.
Yeah.
He started feeding himself, paying his rent, paying his electric, paying everything. He bought his little digital audio workstation. I started tutoring him on Logic Pro, and he started winning and teaching himself even ahead and doing it. He just did his first couple of songs. So he's like, I've never had this kind of happiness and being able to take care of myself and have self-value for the past year. In the past 10 years working for someone else. Working for someone else. He never got that. In the past year, it has made up for all of that. So yeah, that whole experimenting on your own, taking the time and to forgive yourself for everything that you figure was a misdoing or even wrong to yourself or even wrong in your craft or not. And when you finally reach that eureka spot, like right now, how I feel as a composer isn't gonna just come out right here, but how I want to share as there are future composers, and I have an idea to mentor this group of beat makers into being composers for visual media. Because the genre is changing, it's evolving, and it's got to reach audiences that don't have the same kind of delicate taste that audiences 50 years ago had. Okay, so
correct. Yeah. All right, Vincent. I'm not gonna hold you all day, but you know we could talk for endless hours.
We can.
And I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And this is going to conclude another episode, and probably the best one, of the Vitamin Groove Podcast in the Gallery with Mr. Vincent Bryant, composer, pianist, keyboard player, and all-around good guy.
Thank you. I'm still working on the good guy part.
Hey, it's coming. What? When you see it like I see it, you're going to be happy.
All right, thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Bye-bye now.
Bye. So sometimes you just have to take that vitamin groove and keep it moving.